order for the City of Lincoln Center, September 10, 2018, reconvene in our new location for the evening. Welcome. Agenda amendments. Council. Dan? Clerk? Superintendent? Nothing to add? Minutes, August 13, 2018, regular meeting.
I move we approve.
I second it.
Any further discussion, council, on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The minutes. Payroll voucher number 18-08, August wages and salaries.
I move that we approve payroll voucher 18-08. Second.
Any further discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Moving on, accounts payable. August checks pre-written, August accounts payable.
I move that we approve August checks pre-written and August accounts payable.
Second.
Any more discussion, council, on the pre-written and accounts payable? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Abstain.
Noted. Delinquent accounts. Any comments or anything to add, council, on delinquent accounts? Moving on, land donation for park. Lot south of 923 North 5th. Jim Weber is here. Welcome.
Thank you. My wife and I moved into town about a year now, a little over a year now, and we bought some lots on the north end of town, right across from the retirement home. And there's a ton of lots. And there's two lots on the south side that aren't nothing there, nothing on them. And it goes straight down to the alley, of course. And I thought, since there's nothing else on the north end of town for children, that we could look into the feasibility of putting some park stuff in there for kids. Now, one of the things I was thinking was, to make this little play equipment for all young kids, and that you could have an area like for medium-sized kids, and if you wanted to have another area down toward the bottom for, let's say, put a soccer field, a small soccer field inside the gym, just something to go back and forth in, and something like that. The retirement home, I know when dealing with my parents, grandparents, when you put the children there, about 15 minutes is all you had there. Because they were not going to stay there any longer. Because it's just, you're talking and they can't go there. Okay. I thought maybe the home might be interested in helping with this project. I plan on donating the land and if you need somebody, I don't want to be a chair. If you need somebody to be kind of a dog, go do things, I'll do that for some committee. If that's what you want to do. That's if you even want to do this project. There are no other kid things up in that area. And there are plenty of children that play on this playground. And that's kind of what we thought we might do, is just donate that land if we can get that to happen. We're not going to donate the land if this does not happen. Because I don't see any reason for the city to own any more land that they think we've got to go mow.
Thank you.
I mean, it's either I mow it or you mow it, so, now I'd like it if you mowed it, but but the problem is, it's not getting anything, it's not being used for anything. It's growing grass and weeds, so that's kind of what I was trying to come up with on this.
Do you know what the approximate size is? Is this right behind your house?
No, it's right south of my house.
Okay,
It's from the street to the alley, down in the draw.
okay,
And it's I think it's 2 wide, 2 block wide.
okay.
Is that that's not where the water runs bad, is it, Jack, or not? Where the water, where we got water coming through there a lot, or not?
No. I think I'm just guessing, but I think each lot is 50 feet. I think.
How much?
50 feet?
That's pretty close. I think it's 100 foot across there.
That's a guess.
Pretty close.
But
I
no,
haven't
it'd be
measured
like,
it, but that's, and then about 300 foot long. But, I thought this will be used for something.
I'd like to go look at it before I say one way or another. But
It's newly mowed as of today. I probably was a little late with that, with the weather, but that's what I'm trying to do. That's all I have. Thank you for your time.
thank you. I think we need to look at it,
Yeah.
assess the situation, and table it till next
Put it on the agenda.
agenda for next month. Thank you, Jim. Moving on, USD 298 storm shelter presentation. Kathy Robertson's here tonight to present. Also, I got this card from the school thanking the city for the use of the pool, and also has all the board members on it. Thank you very much. It's been good working with you guys too. Worked rather well.
Monty Brenneman, Vice President of the Board, is going to start.
I mentioned to Kathy that I would be here this evening, so I was volunteered to give part of the presentation this evening. As she said, for the record, I am Monty Brenneman. I'm on the Board of Ed, representing the board this evening. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to visit with the city this evening. You have the PowerPoint printout before you. We're here this evening to give you a proposal for the city's involvement in a community storm shelter at the high school. As most of you no doubt remember, a little over about a year and a half ago, USD 298 put forth to the voters in the school district a bond proposal for a little less than $5 million. That bond vote was voted down rather resiliently. But coming out of that, the board stepped back and took another look at the work that needed to be done and to this day still needs to be done, and looked at finding a better way to move forward with trying to address those needs. The first thing that we did was put together or ask for residents or district constituents to serve on a facilities committee, which we had very good participation, had a lot of work was put together, evaluating the needs of the district, and we've addressed many of those items that we're going to address through that bond vote with a number of financial tools, if you will, that the district has been exploring. One of those is to apply for grants. And as Mrs. Walter, the high school principal, will get into, we were well on our way with that, but we're going to need some assistance. So with that, I will turn it over to Christy.
I'm Christy Walter. I'm the principal at the high school, junior senior high school. I guess just to give you a little background why we decided as a facilities committee to make Storm Shelter one of our priorities. We've had 2 tornadoes pass by the high school in the last, I think the first one was in the early 2000s and the other one was a couple of years ago. And when you're sitting in the shelter, we call it a shelter, but when you sit in there you realize it's not very safe. When you're sitting in there with 150 kids and there's a tornado close, you realize that this is really not a shelter at all. It's not going to shelter us from anything. You're just hoping that you come out of it if it ever hits. So, with that said, we decided that maybe this is something that we need to be proactive on and not wait until something tragic happens, try to do something now. Also, included in that, we decided that maybe we could make it a dual-purpose room, something that the community could use and we could use in addition to being a storm shelter, instead of just sitting there being empty building for us just in case something happens. So the facilities committee decided that the storm shelter was a priority for the high school. Of course, financial reasons. We talked a lot of different ways about how to do that. Do we want to go FEMA? Do we just want to build a storm shelter? And so it was Mrs. Robertson put together an application, and it was submitted in March, and I will let her talk about it.
So in August 13th, we were awarded the FEMA grant. It's coming from the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program Fund. We are awarded $613,830. As part of this grant, the matching requirement is $206,170. So we were very excited. We had tried this once before and had been didn't get anywhere. We had applied for Dane Hansen. We were turned down. So we have tried a lot of other avenues, and so we worked with a great guy in Topeka, and we're very excited to get the grant. So this is our architect, out of Salina. This is the drawing for the storm shelter. Now, the only probably that may change this is that we have been told that there is artesian well on the north end of our building. From the road, there's a well there. There's our artesian well. Jess may know a little bit about that.
I do not know.
Okay. Well, we've been told there's artesian well. So the exact location may change. It may be to the west of the building. It may be to the east of the building. It may be to the south of the building. But for the specs for the grant, it is at the north end of the building. So if you've been in our high school, you're walking down the gym. You're on the west of the gym, and you're just east of the wood and metal shop. You're walking down the hallway. You exit out 2 double doors, and there's going to be a secure vestibule, and the tornado shelter will be to your right or to the east. It will not be attached to the building. That is, if you look at any FEMA grants, they don't attach usually to buildings because of the structure. and the potential of that wall you're attaching to fall. The storm shelter has 2 bathrooms. It has a mechanical room. It has a fan, and it's self-sufficient. It is about 3,450 square feet. It's a 1-story building, and you can see the width and the length of the building. So, these are the actual costs. These are the costs that were in the grant application, how we came up with $820,000. This room will be available to community, and if school is in session, to about 350 to 400 people. To get the maximum amount of room, that's how we came up with the $820,000, because it's per foot. For each person has so many feet, and I don't know what that is, but I can find out for you. So we have the FEMA match of $613,830. So our required match is $206,170. At this point in time, the Facilities Committee, the Board of Education, reviewed and prioritized our infrastructure needs. We're presenting this as a community-wide storm shelter. After talking to city staff, as far as I know, after talking to city staff, you have 1 storm shelter, and that is in the basement of the city building currently. That is the only storm shelter you have in Lincoln. So, what we would do is we would have a lockbox on the outside of the storm shelter. You can gain entry from the outside. You don't have to go into our building. There would be a lockbox. The lockbox, the sheriff would have a key, the fire department would have a key, and we probably would work with Jess. So we would have a program that, depending on when it was, who would be there to open up the shelter if it was non-school hours. We would house anyone that showed up. In the downtime, it would be used as a practice wrestling room.
Some of the benefits, as you can see that Kathy has put up there, we feel this would add to our community. The patron staff, students would have an improved facility, as Mrs. Walter mentioned. We do not have a storm shelter in the high school. A cinder block locker room with a metal roof with screws protruding through the top is not a safe place for anybody to be during a storm. We're anticipating that having a secure structure like this would certainly be a selling benefit for not only our school district, but for the community as a whole. It certainly would be an opportunity for the city of Lincoln to invest not only in the school system, but in the community. We're in hopes that, the city will certainly consider making a contribution towards the school district portion of this grant. As the mayor said, the city and the school district have an excellent working relationship. We certainly appreciate that as well, as to everybody's benefit that we have that. Just as a point of information for you, what you see listed there are the people who graciously agreed to serve on the facilities committee. They've met a number of times throughout the last year and a half and have put forth a great effort. We've made great strides already as a committee. We've been able to find funding for the redoing the heating and air conditioning system in the grade school. Through lease purchase agreement with a local bank, we've been able to replace the roof on the high school. We are continuing to search for other funding mechanisms to address these facility needs that the district has without putting an added tax burden on the residents. Finally, there's a list of the school board members. If you have any questions, any school board member would certainly be willing to try to answer those for you. And I guess I would leave you just with one final thought. Individually, the city and the school district, we have done good things, but together I think we can do some great things. thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'm sure I'll answer.
I have a question. If there is, it's Kansas, you never know when tornadoes are going to strike. It's going to be during a football game or a track meet. Is there enough room in this tornado shelter if we are having, say, a track meet in the spring and there's a tornado? Is there enough room for, like, the parents and the patrons to go from the track to the storm shelter?
There would be a lot more room than there is now.
Okay.
They tell us 400, but I think that talking to the gentleman that helped us said that you can get a lot more people in there. That's just what we have to put down because there's so many per feet requirement for each person. So he was fairly confident we could get up to 450, 500 people in there.
And I've never seen that many people at track meet.
No.
Does U.S. Power have any type of storm shelter?
No. The last time it came close, they sent us home in the middle of it. So it wouldn't be liable.
That's kind of what I thought. How many people work out there every day?
I was told by a board member last night that they were told to go to the hospital basement, but they would be welcome just to come over.
Right.
We were told to either go there or the basement of the courthouse. I only live a half a block from the courthouse, and the tornado was in the cemetery by the
You
time
have
I
to
got
drive
home.
towards
So,
it, yeah.
you know, I drove right into it basically. There's
That's just one of the thoughts that occurred to me. We've got probably, I don't know how many people
several.
clocking in
Yeah.
over there every day that have.
Well, and at the hospital, I think that they would, if they didn't have that basement, because that's what they use, it's a hospital. So if they didn't have that basement, that would be another problem, because there's a lot of people that work there too. We probably have, I don't know, 35 or 40 that are there every day.
Well, I know a lot of those people don't live in town either. They're driving.
Right,
things
that's
like
right.
that, so they can't go home. You know. But yeah,
There's a lot of houses in town without basements, too.
I guess the next logical thought there would be, I wonder if U.S. Power would be willing to contribute partially to this too.
You don't know until you ask. You don't ask me, because I can never second guess it.
Well, I wasn't asking you.
I know, I understand.
Putting you in charge of that, Bill.
Yeah. No, I'll have.
So how much time do you have to come up with the money? The match?
We would like to know by your next board meeting, if possible.
What budget year would this come on? 19?
For us, it would be this budget year, 2018-19, but our fiscal year goes from July to June.
Okay, but for if you needed money from the city,
Oh,
we go January.
probably, yes. We have 18 months to 2 years to complete this. So,
So are you asking for the full amount of matching funds from the city?
no.
Okay. Well, I thought I heard, donation, but I wanted to make sure I was clear.
We're having a special board meeting on Wednesday night, and so I believe the board will be taking action on an amount, probably a half or a little bit more than a half, so we're looking probably up to $100,000.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, is how much you guys planned for in terms of the match when you applied for the grant.
I'm sorry?
That was going to be my fault. It was how much you guys had earmarked to be matching dollars when you applied for the grant. I guess that's what the next presenter is we're pursuing our own project with a grant that we have to have matching funds for to keep the water on.
What kind of things?
We were just hoping for all we could get. There really wasn't a set amount, not knowing what other entities may be willing to provide towards this.
We, the funds that we had planned in the event that the airport expansion project would get another grant, what was the dollar figure on that?
200,000.
Okay.
But he's turning around and reapplying.
Reapply, right. So
And
it's still
that
gonna-
will hit 19 budget, and that's what I already have in there.
Mhm.
Now, I do have some money in street and park from when we originally tried for restrooms and a storm shelter that I've just kind of left in there. But it's kind of gets depleted, especially this year with all the mowing we've had to do. I mean, labor has been hit kind of hard in the park this year. Not so much in the street. We haven't been able to work on street work. We could probably finagle somewhere, but I need to know how much you're wanting me to figure out how to finagle it.
All those dollars are just in the general right now, so
Mhm.
that's your,
Which is, that's where it would have to come out of, is our general fund.
Well, I think we definitely need to come up with something. I mean, whether we can do the full 100,000 or not, but
I don't think you can reach that high.
It's like 40, 50 doable.
I think that would be, I could make that work.
Okay, I have another question. Does all the funding have to be available in the 2018 budget year? Or 2019 budget year, did you say it was a 2-year?
18 months to 2-year project.
So might we go into 2020?
I'll have to look at my paperwork. I don't know what the exact date is.
You might get more money if they can split it into 2 budget years.
19's already
It's already
done.
Already full. Okay.
and you need to know by when, was it, Kathy?
We have to sign paperwork by September 30th. So, but
But you wouldn't need the money from the city till 2019.
I think we can work around that, yes, very
But
much
if we
so.
had the money left over in 2018's budget,
I pretty much rolled stuff over into the 19 budget. I mean, we weren't applying for a grant for a storm shelter or
Right.
restrooms. So I already rolled that into 2019, anticipating we weren't going to have an expense like that.
okay, so we could do it, okay, next year.
And that would work. I think that would be very, very, very doable. Yes.
I guess obviously it all depends on how quickly the project gets completed, and I would assume you want it done as fast as you can. But
And we could work it into 2022. I mean, that's doable for us. We have abilities to do lease purchases and whatnot, so we can make that. We will work with you. We just appreciate your willingness to consider the project.
I'm just writing down what she's saying. I feel like I have a gun to my head right now. Like, can you make this work, Heather, without putting us in red?
I understand.
And I didn't bring the budget down with me, so I can't tell you off. I have too many things to tell you. But I can tell you that we use our utility funds to subsidize our general fund, and our next item coming up is talking about not moving water or money from our water fund because we need the money there for a match, which is to the tune of $30,000 to $60,000 a year. So
we need to keep that in mind. We haven't got to that yet, but you're asking me to kind of pull something out of the air right now without
Well,
stepping around.
I don't feel like we can commit to anything specific tonight. I mean, I feel like we can probably commit in principle that we want to help, but not
Right,
a specific dollar amount.
right.
I mean, we gotta make sure we're responsible for what we're responsible for first. And we've already started the process on the
Water budget.
water and the airport and,
Yeah.
so.
Do we need to have a meeting later in the month to,
If they need an answer, we're
Yeah.
going to have to.
Let you do some figuring and,
yeah,
So let's set that meeting date so we got it. And that way we can give the school an answer with a dollar amount. And I think we can give them a commitment of something. How's that?
Yeah, like I said, I think we should agree in principle to assistance, but in terms of specific dollars,
Yeah.
do we want to do another Monday night meeting, or?
I don't care, whatever everybody else wants. Set a date. You got your calendar up, Lisa?
yeah. Next Monday's the 17th, the following Monday's the 24th.
I would say the 24th, that'd be 2 weeks. And that's still gonna give them the rest of that week to get their paperwork together.
7:30 or 7?
I would say 7:30. I guess I would make the motion that we express our support to the school board for their storm shelter program, but that we table a decision until a special meeting scheduled for September 24th at 7:30 p.m. at City Hall.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any more discussion, council, on the meeting and our commitment? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
We will get you an answer.
Thank you.
Moving on, Schwab Eaton, PA Consulting Engineer Agreement. Stuart Porter's here. Schwab Eaton, welcome.
Okay, thank you. Has the council had a chance to review this? Have you seen it at all? Do you want me to go through it? What this is a consulting engineering agreement for the water line project. It's, for all intents and purposes, it's the same project or the same engineering agreement that you've seen in the past for past projects. The amounts on it are consistent with the cost estimate for the project that you've seen in the past. So I don't know what questions you might have. It is important that you consider this agreement now, prior to the grant application going in, because with your engineer tied down or locked down, you show readiness points in the rating system. And in the event that the project is not funded by the CDBG program, the contract is null and void, as indicated in the final sentence of the second paragraph. So there's really not any risk to the city with regards to signing up for something that you don't get the money to pay for.
Went through taking care of the cash basis law.
Yes.
That's all that was in there.
Does anyone have any questions about it?
So this is basically the same thing we did on the last project.
It's the same thing.
I move we approve the agreement between Swab Eaton and the City of Lincoln.
I second it.
Any further discussion, council, on the agreement? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, moving on. Public hearing, CDBG grant application. Doug McKinney's here with North Central Regional Planning Commission. Welcome. And Stuart, again, welcome.
He smiles more after we agree to pay him. Did you notice that?
Yeah, he's always
No,
smiling.
I was smiling because I got introduced twice.
Did you officially open the hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you want me to explain a little bit about it? Just to
Yes,
give a
please.
summary for the audience?
Yes.
Water system improvements, water distribution foremost. It's roughly $1.2 million, $1,205,000, including about 23,000 linear feet of PVC water mains to be installed to replace the cast iron that's either there or not there right now. 36 valves, 25 fire hydrants, 240 service connections, 80 water meters, and 47 new connections to existing water line, with quite a bit of service line to be replaced, and about 6,000 square yards of surface street repairs, which will be a few feet above the water lines, with lots of appurtenances, and of course mobilization, construction administration, design, administration of the project, financial system, etc., labor. That's all included in the overall project, and this would have roughly optimistically maybe in February of next year, commencement with environmental reviews, financial management, just basic setup time, design thereafter, or soon thereafter, with procurement, contractor embracing engagement sometime in the summertime, hopefully.
Sometime in the fall at the earliest, because Commerce won't release funds on the project probably until
About a year from now.
and we've been told to hold off on design services until the funds are released.
Until the environmental is complete.
Yes. So optimistically, we would be ready to bid the project in October, November of next year.
So technically, this could come out of 2020's budget.
Yes.
The bulk of it.
The bulk of the money will, I can just tell you that if the grant is awarded, the bulk of the money will come out of 2020 dollars for you guys.
But remember the chances of us getting it the first time, right?
Yeah, I mean, the chances, we don't know how good the chances are. I would tend to say it's about a 50-50, kind of a toss-up. In the past, water distribution projects have been difficult to get funded. They get funded. A lot of times you have to wait a couple of years. But we have kind of heard through the grapevine that virtually all of the projects that Commerce is receiving this year are water distribution projects. So some of them are going to get funded. It's just a matter of which ones.
Which ones?
And you obviously have pretty good documentation, a good engineering report. Did you see very many at kayak meetings, very many people? The Kansas Interagency Committee that you had about a month ago.
Well, what do you mean by a lot of people?
Well, they weren't very full to begin with.
Oh no, there were quite a few kayak meetings. I will say that your preliminary engineering report will look as good as any of them with respect to the documentation that Jess has provided. Some pictures, some documentation of leaks. I don't have that on all of my communities, so that it really is a positive for Lincoln.
The one upside that I see, KDHE, very supportive in the Salina region, and Commerce already knows Lincoln has tried to do something. So you've addressed some past needs. Leslie talked about readiness, and you don't have any acquisition type issues which could cloud projects. So everything's been thumbs up with past Lincoln projects. It should have. Certainly need is important. Good to have need. And your water rates are a decent amount, $36 for 5,000 gallons, so that's right in their state average. Now your sewer rates, on the other hand, those are pretty low, but they're not looking at sewer rates. So in short, that's the summary of the project as planned and proposed. Tonight, after the hearing's closed, you have documents to address. You have administrative agreement services there. You have a couple of resolutions which authorize not only project to go forward in an application format, but then also committing operation and maintenance down the road, which are at the same level or slightly below where you're at now with that. And then the application documents, which are in my hands. So. Any other questions, wonders, dialogue about what it's all about and shoring up? As Stuart and I talked, this hopefully will get you beyond 50% of your distribution system replacement arena. Past project and this one.
Should we talk about the match that was discussed at the kayak meeting? The council moved forward to do the KDHE loan.
Yes, but we had talked about using local sources as your match, and the reason for that is Lincoln is not on the KDHE intended use plan. The thought being that, or the thought that it shouldn't adversely affect the city, because the real dollars would come out of fiscal year or calendar year 2020. I think, isn't that your fiscal year as well? Mm-hmm. Okay. So the timing is still a ways out, and since you're not on the intended use plan for KDHE, what would have to happen is you'd either have to issue bonds. If you didn't want to use commit local sources, you have to issue bonds or potentially USDA rural development. We're too late in the game for USDA rural development. That's a lengthy process.
So basically, we can't do the KDHE financing that we discussed last month.
Correct. And didn't we talk about that at the meeting?
I thought we did.
At the kayak meeting we did. But not...
I
think you talked about it on that.
I thought we talked about it at the council meeting.
Yeah. The council wanted...
We instructed that you seek that out, but I guess now we're finding out that you're not.
That is correct. We are not on the intended use plan, so we cannot apply. We could apply for KDHE money in December. We could get on the intended use plan in December. I don't know how the Department of Commerce would look at that if we switched funding horses. I don't know, Doug might have some commentary on that. I don't know.
It wouldn't be the first time the committee's
No.
done that.
If it really became an issue for the city, I think I'm pretty sure you can commit your local sources of funding for today. And if you're awarded a grant, I would think that if you can show Commerce that, hey, there's a real need to do it this way, that you could go after a KDHE loan for the local sources. But I don't know. I've never had to do that before, but I think that would be a possibility.
And of course, the other side, the utility revenue or GO bond, which would be probably 8%, something higher than KDHE loan funds. But that's a possibility as well. And there's justifications any of the ways if there's a decision made to switch some or to upgrade. As long as you stay in the course with the project, that's what Commerce cares about the most.
So at the kayak meeting, basically the commitment was made that we were going to do bonds or local funding sources. Is that what?
Well, at the kayak meeting, we pretty much said we took the information that they gave us and said we'll report back to the council.
Okay. So I guess maybe my question is better like this: is have we applied and it's set in stone that we've said that's what we're going to do? The reason I'm asking this question is because we were operating under the assumption we were going to be able to get the low interest financing through KDHE. That's what our intention was at the end of last meeting. I just reviewed. That's what the minutes say. So, it's too late for USDA. So basically, if we want to move ahead with this grant application, we've got to move ahead.
Committing,
looking for bonds.
Well, either looking for bonds or committing your own sources of funding with the understanding that they're not going to get spent until 2020.
Right. So you have time.
You have time to plan, budget, that sort of thing. In my opinion, it's important to apply for the grant this go round and get your name in the hat and see what happens. And if you are awarded the grant, that's great, and we can talk more about whether whether the KDHE loan really needs to occur to make the financial side of it work for the city. But we did. I've talked to Heather and the mayor about possible funding scenarios, and it sounds like the funds are in your utility accounts that could be used to pay the local side.
And we've got to be accepted first. That's number one.
Did we, in the 2019 budget, was there any money set aside for this? I understand that we've got till 2020 to figure out how to pay for it if it goes through, but
The only money that you would be able to consider set aside is we plan on transferring $30,000 to the Water Reserve Fund, which we've already started putting money into, which can go to this project. That's exactly what it's for. And then avoid a $30,000 transfer from the water to the general fund at the end of the year. And me just being tighter with expenses in the water fund.
so okay,
But as far as planning,
there was not.
not to the tune of what we're talking. I always plan for oops and unexpected things, but not to the tune of $600,000.
Yeah, and then this was a 50% or
Yes. Yes.
I don't know if you noticed on your fund status report, we have 500 and some thousand in there now.
Yeah.
In the water fund.
510.
Anything else?
Nope, if you're done conversing, dialoguing, you can close the hearing and take action on the proposed items. More discussion is needed there, so.
Public have anything to add?
What you gonna do if this all goes to hell?
What's that?
What you gonna do if this all goes to hell?
We'll probably have a lot more water leaks.
I think so, yeah. Maybe there ought to be a second option somewhere down the road. Maybe not too far down, but down the road.
The grant's every year, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we don't get it this year, we'll reapply next year.
Yeah, that would be
I understand that, but that don't mean it's gonna be any better next year than it was this year.
The water lines or the grants?
There's another option on the back burner somewhere.
Fix the water lines.
Not that's affordable.
Yeah, not that's affordable.
Okay.
Well, tell them the Washington City story. That's several $1 million.
Yeah, the city of Washington,
Same size
about
community.
same size community, they're looking at roughly an $8 million water line replacement project. I'm,
Probably 80% debt and 20% grant, and some city cash.
Just because they haven't done anything for so long?
they haven't done any, or any to speak of.
Will that replace it all?
You're going to
Yeah.
replace it all in one fell swoop.
Try to do it all at once. And Salina did that with their water meters about 5-6 years ago. They just hadn't done meter replacement, and all of a sudden, just do it. Raise the rates $5 a person or household.
It's either that or we take turns carrying buckets from the river. We all take our turns.
Really take a little close record.
We might want to treat that before we use it.
Yeah,
Because we're having to see carry much.
Plenty of water in there. Blowing well.
Anything else to add? I don't need a motion to close the hearing, do I? Right or not?
Well, I think you should, just to have it be in the minutes that the discussion, the public was given opportunity to discuss, the council's discussed. Entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I entertain a motion to close the hearing.
I so move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution number 18.
You gotta back up.
What?
We have to do all this stuff with the,
This one?
Paperwork.
we have to accept or agree motion for the CDBG administration agreement.
Hold on, that's this one.
Mhm. Then you have to do the two resolutions that go with it, that Doug was discussing.
Need separate motions for each of those? Yes. Okay, I move we approve the City of Lincoln CDBG administration agreement.
Second.
Any more discussion on the administration agreement, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You want this signed now?
This is all his stack of signed stuff.
So that's what the places marked there.
Okay, now I entertain a motion for the resolution, which doesn't matter which one's first.
Yes, it's going to.
Resolution number 1804.
That's allowing to apply.
That's the authorization, yeah.
The authorization.
I move we approve resolution 1804.
Second.
Any more discussion, council, on the resolution? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
That one is for committing to maintaining the distribution if we get the grant after it's fixed, that we will continue to maintain.
That we will continue to maintain. And
Taking care of the water system.
we try and do that now.
Yeah. And that's essentially what's placed in the resolution is that level.
Which is resolution number 1805. I entertain a motion to accept resolution 1805.
I move we approve resolution 1805.
Second that.
Any more discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Application stuff underneath. Do you want me to come by then Tuesday, Wednesday, one of those two?
Yes.
Wednesday for sure.
Okay. I have it all signed.
Unless Nicole's in the neighborhood.
That's,
I will share with her their thoughts.
1806 Government Street.
No, that's our gap waiver.
Okay.
now can I move on?
Heather, can you sign 2 copies of our agreement? And then, not necessarily now, but you can give them to Nicole or Doug. They'll get them to me. And then I will sign them, give them to you.
Okay.
Somewhere, there are copies floating around in the mail that are signed.
Okay. I haven't received them yet.
I don't know
Maybe
where.
tomorrow.
Maybe
Yeah.
tomorrow.
If you get them, then sign those ones.
Okay.
Then just send me one.
Okay.
Thank you, both of
You
you.
bet.
You're welcome. Thanks for trying to be progressive.
We're trying. Moving on, resolution number 18-06, gap waiver for 2018. You want to explain this? Because I don't know what it is.
GAP stands for Generally Accepted Accounting Principles. With our audit, they audit us under the Kansas Municipal Audit and Accounting Guide instead of GAP waiver, or the GAP, so we have to waive the GAP.
Well, you could write.
We do it annually.
I move that we approve resolution number 1806.
Have a second.
I second that.
Any discussion, council, on the waiver? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Moving on, memorial bench at the park.
I was contacted by the Bob Zacco family. They would like to place 2 of these 6-foot benches in the park. They are made out of recycled tires, so there's nothing to rust, nothing to paint. They would like one placed somewhere by the playground equipment and the other one on the west side of the creek. She said to use city staff discretion because there is water lines and sewer lines there. Just put it wherever the city thought would be a good location that's not going to interfere with anything that's already there. And they do have enough memorial money to get 2 of them, and they want it engraved within loving memory of Bob Zacco, 1941 to 2018.
Are they setting them, or are we setting them?
The city would set them And Ethel had talked to Jess about pouring a slab to set them on so they wouldn't be right in the dirt and it would be easier to mow around. I have that to show.
There's enough money that would cover the concrete cost.
Well, I entertain a motion that we proceed with this project for an employee that's worked here a long time.
And I will move that we approve placing 2 benches in the city park in memory of Bob Zacco.
With the city crew pouring the concrete underneath.
Yes. And to be paid from memorial money.
And you were looking at there was crash.
She said one by the playground equipment
One at the west.
and one on the west side of the creek, wherever you thought would be a good location that's not going to interfere with water lines, sewer lines. She said to use your judgment on what you thought would be great, and she's okay with it.
I second that.
Any more discussion, council, on the memorial benches? All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nuisance report.
What you don't see anymore is what you get.
Line 2, the house is gone, the foundation's still there. I did not get it in the day to see when the rain stopped that. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Line 1, he was working on today. I told him that there was a report being made and I was going to get in contact with him next Monday and reevaluate it and see where he's at with it. And we'll proceed with the report and the letter. If things aren't taken care of. The one that was brought up last meeting on 33 and 34, I made contact with them people today. And they said they would take care of it, so we're going to give them a week to deal with that also. Line 30, we're going to have to resubmit a letter. Part of it got cleaned up. It didn't all get picked up, so that's in your neighborhood. That's going to get another letter sent. And if it's not cleaned up,
That's the one that's stuck in your mouth. And now you said 30 need to resend a letter?
yes, 30's the one that's going to have a letter sent to them again because they did a little work and then it stopped and now it's went the other way. And the city's going to send another letter, give them 10 days, and if they don't, then the city will go in and take care of it. Does the council have any questions on the rest of them?
23, how did that is taken care of, 23?
Yes.
You might expand a little bit on that, Jess, because that was one of the focus, that was one of the inspection requirements that came out of last meeting. There,
We met with that individual and we weren't satisfied, so we had until the next day at noon. And the mayor and I went back and looked at everything, and he had everything done that we wanted done.
well, there were serious health considerations. Were those addressed sufficiently?
The fittings were glued in like we requested, and the trash was removed. and he sprayed the weeds across the street. And then we had a conversation, not to let this happen again because this is the second time. And he said he gave his word that he would keep on to it and see what happens.
And the structure west of the restaurant, that's still in the final stages, I think, from what it looked like. Everything's gone, but I don't know.
I think the contractor has done what the contractor was hired to do.
And then what goes beyond that?
So that needs to be taken up with the property owner. And he's past his abatement time.
Basically, there's a floor on top of the foundation and then a hole that needs filled. That's where it's at right now, isn't it? There's still a floor there.
Because he said he had made, and when he, last month he said he had made, or he had dirt available to fill in. So, I don't know if he's planning on doing that, but his time is up.
So what your recommendation is, the city goes in and finishes this?
That's the abatement process.
I mean, is that what the council wants to do? That's what we will do.
You say anything?
I don't want anybody falling in a hole.
No, for sure.
Have you talked to the property owner?
No.
But does he think that he's done all that that's the question, I think, because of the machinery that equipment is still there. And the trash is still on the
The
foundation.
contractor was contracted to take it down to the floor. And then the property owner, it was the understanding the property owner then was going to do the rest.
I was not aware of that.
Okay.
Me neither.
Well, we already abated it.
Well, that's
So,
what
I
I'm
mean,
saying.
at this
I
point,
recommend that
can
we move
do
forward on
whatever
the abatement.
Yeah, we can do whatever we need to abate the.
The abatement's been done. It's just a matter of what he was going to do and what the city did.
I said we
did it
contact-
all, actually.
I said we contact him and say, we are starting this day to finish this project and it will be assessed on your taxes.
How soon are you able to tackle it?
Well, we're not going to wait very long because it's a hazard to wait.
Absolutely. I just didn't know if you need till Monday or if you need till, or if you were ready to get started on it sooner or what you think.
It's going to be difficult to get it done this week.
Yeah.
I can say that.
Well, and with the mud and everything, I would say that's probably.
Because we have another structure we're taking down.
Okay.
But we're not going to take very long.
Yeah, I would say give him till next Monday. And says the time is up and it's done abated. So
So you want me to give him more time or just say we're coming in and
Say we're coming in when your convenience, at your convenience.
Whatever
if
day
it's
you're
cleaned up
willing.
before I get there, then take care of it.
Yeah, that's great, but if not,
You can do that.
Anything else to add on nuisance reports? Dan?
No, I have nothing for this.
No.
Personnel, 6-month evaluations. You, Heather, you got an evaluation, or I mean, in your department? No. Jess? entertain a motion to go into executive session for personnel reasons.
Do we need to make?
Non-elected personnel reasons.
And that can be made, that needs to be made by the person that makes the motion, the criteria.
Okay.
I move we enter into executive session for the purpose of discussion of non-elected personnel for 10 minutes.
From when to when?
From 9 p.m. to 9, or from 8:58 p.m. to 9:10 p.m.
Second?
Any further discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Back in session. 6-month evaluations.
I'd like to make a request to the city council that the employees, full-time, with $1 an hour raise, and that would be for Thomas Shirley, power plant, and Roger Trumbull, the maintenance worker, to shop.
I move that we accept the city superintendent's advice to hire full-time Roderick Trumbull as a maintenance worker and Thomas Shirley as at the power plant, hire them full-time and give them each a $1 per hour raise, effective immediate. What would your pay period be? So when's that start?
We can make it effective with September payroll.
Effective at September payroll.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, council.
Do we need to put it out after, or do they call one of that out again?
For new hires.
Is there, are you where money's there, or was we gonna wait?
You're asking me a lot right now. You're asking me to give the school money.
We discussed this at the last time and
I know.
for your next budget. So should we wait till you get into your next budget?
Yeah, let's see what you decide with the school.
It might not be bad to start looking.
Right. You can start looking. Do you want me to check with Kelly on this apprenticeship deal that she sent us?
I think we should look into it some more at least and see what it's about.
She left. That's the one we lost.
He's the one that's coming.
You lost
We
her
can
before
read it.
that.
No.
We could, why don't we just, that can be a homework assignment. People can go look into that and then we can discuss it next month.
Okay, I'll just put it on the agenda for next month.
Anything else on personnel? Moving on, city official reports. City attorney,
I don't have anything more to say.
city clerk, CIC training, cashiering and accounting, accounts receivable.
When our auditors gave their audit report and they discussed journal entries and they hate them, this cashiering and accounts receivable training, we already own the program. We've never been trained, we've never used them. The cashiering would, as we enter receipts, basically it prints them out a receipt now. We wouldn't have to get this special little machine to give them a skinny receipt. We could print it out on full paper. But it runs it automatically through the system without us doing journal entries with our control accounts every month, which I now do. And I have to give them to the city treasurer. He has to sign off on them, but that's what the auditors were complaining about. And the way we enter receipts now, we do it in a journal entry form. We choose revenue, but we're manually keying it, which Cashiering is basically the same thing, except for there's an automated backside into the accounting. Accounts receivable at this time, it's done on an Excel document that we mail out, and we have an Excel spreadsheet, and it's nowhere in the books. The auditors are aware of it. We give it to them. We have an automated Excel spreadsheet, but it's not hitting our books anywhere.
So is this a one-time fee?
Yes, except for we have not previously had to pay for enhancements for the product. So these are all the years of us having them back enhancements of what they've done to the product, because we haven't performed them on our system because we're not using it. So we've saved the money. So that, and it will raise our support a little bit annually. That's what we pay every May. Not significantly, but we will have to start paying for support if we're down or we're having a problem, so we have the 24-hour support. They didn't put that dollar amount in there, but I know it will increase. But yes, it's on site. We've done their training over the phone, and where we have a new employee in the office, she's already trained to learn several programs, and having someone there on staff, I think, is the way to do it. I understand it costs more, but...
Who would be doing this training? Where are they coming from?
Greeley, Colorado, probably.
Okay.
Unless they get Gene Berngart to come from Victoria, I'm kind of hoping it's him. That's who trained us on accounts payable and utility billing when I started in payroll, and he was very good at training. You could understand him, so I'm kind of hoping it's him.
So I guess it sounds to me like basically they're wanting you to get a system sort of like QuickBooks, where it automatically does your entry on both sides for you without having
They audit 9 of CIC's cities, and we're the only one that is still not using cashiering and accounts receivable.
Yeah.
So that's why they've complained every year. And I tried to last year I made contact, and CIC promised they'd get a hold of us and we'd do over the phone training, and that never happened. So when the auditors came this year, they never called back. So they called and they're like, yeah, we failed to get back with Heather on that. So I made them quote it out this time, give us a proposal.
Do they have the option of remote training instead of sending somebody out on site?
They do. I can tell you it's been a failure the last time.
I'll say most of the ones I've seen of that is...
We did it with accounts receivable before, and we still can't run it. And they billed us.
But was it you were on the phone and they actually had your
they had
terminal
control
remote
and they were
access?
But we've had quite a bit of turnover since then.
I guess my thought there is I don't see a huge difference between somebody sitting beside an appointment screen versus having control of their mouse and talking to them at the same time. If there's a large price difference, because I guess if we can get twice as many training hours remotely, I think that's going to, for the same money, I think that's going to be more valuable than the on-site. You see what I'm getting at?
They're over the phone.
On-site is a lot easier. You've got somebody there that you can talk to. If something comes to your mind, it's a lot easier to talk to an individual if they're right there. I've done the other, and personally, I think it sucks. Lack of better words.
I've been through it too.
Yeah.
We do our year-end trainings, but that's because we were taught on-site first. So I'm going around and assisting, like our last employee that was
You just interact more with their somebody
I
there.
had to tell him everything they were saying because they were rushing through it with 9, 13 cities on the phone. Everybody's screaming out questions.
Right,
It's-
but that's a group training session, not a, but I'm not telling you can't do it the way you want to. I'm just asking if you, so have you guys ever had a remote training session that was a one-on-one training session? Or are you just in a chat group type training session?
We did with accounts receivable the first time.
Okay.
And it made perfect sense while they were on the phone. And 2 hours later, when they're gone,
But I guess I don't see why that would be any different whether they're sitting beside you or whether they're in Colorado. If you don't remember it 2 hours later, they're after they get in their car and leave.
we didn't
It's the
get
same
enough
situation.
time on the phone with them to
Okay.
write, as I call, a Bible. That I have wrote every
Right.
one for every one of our systems.
Now, something else that you might be able to do the easier with the remote session, if they allow you to, you could record it so that you could refer back to it later. And basically, it could be one long training video as well, or you know what I'm saying.
I can have them quote.
But that's, I'm just discussing options because if you've got them there live, whatever notes you take and whatever your memory is all you've got. If it's done digitally, you would have the opportunity to record it all if they allow you to. I mean,
We have the device too.
well, I'm sure they can accomplish. They would have the. I'm sure they would have the means to do it.
I can have them quote it the other way. I didn't want to start this until the beginning of the year because I want one whole fiscal year to run. I don't want
Right.
halfway through we're switching up and your reports
Right.
are all different and everybody's confused.
But you want them trained before they switch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I can bring to the next meeting.
Like I said, I'm not against it. I'm just asking. I think you need to start doing it, and I think you need to get training, and whatever is the best training is what we need to do.
My employees in the office now are hands-on training. They learn that way. Using my book is not helping. I have to show them physically, so I felt like it would be better in that case as well.
So when would they come? Like,
We have to tell them whether this was accepted, and then they send out an exhibit, and then once we pay so much percent, I think it's 50% down, then they'll come out and do the training.
but it'll be closer towards the end of the year if you're going to start it in January. They won't train you now, so you forget everything.
Right.
Because you don't use it.
Well, and they may be able to set you up a demo account so that you could run in parallel to what you're already doing so that you can practice before you, you know, I'm sure they would be able to do that, but, you know, it would double your work for a while, but it's.
That's how we
anytime you
started all of our
transition,
systems.
Right.
We ran parallel programs for a year on each of them.
I personally don't have a problem with somebody coming out and training. Because I do get that looking at a computer and having somebody walk you through it isn't that. So what are we looking at if they don't come out? It'd just be the 1,050 less?
The on-site, they charge for over the phone or over the portal training is $125 an hour, I can tell you that.
So it's $150 on, so it's only $25 difference.
Yes.
So I'd say for that, do the on-site if that's preference.
I'm going to move that we approve hiring CIC to implement a cashier system with the city with on-site training.
And accounts receivable. They're both in there.
And accounts receivable. Yes, sorry.
I'm going to second that.
Any more discussion, council? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anything else?
No.
City clerk? City superintendent?
I have nothing to add.
Governing body? Lisa? Lily? Luke? Elijah?
Have we heard anything back on the right-of-way agreement out at the airport? Have they made any contacts since?
They've made contact and we sent them some stuff, but I haven't heard anything.
They never responded back
I haven't
after.
heard
Did we counter offer them or not?
Oh, on that?
I know at
Oh,
one point we were letting
no,
it
we
play.
haven't done. I thought you were talking about the easements that they were wanting to track down. No, there's been nothing happen on
I
that.
just
We
wondered
haven't.
if they were still hounding you for it or not.
Well, they're not. No, they're not doing anything. You know, they made that token offer, and we've never responded to it because we hadn't gotten
We wanted to get our crossing
instructions
agreement
to do that because, but we probably have some time considerations there.
That's what I was thinking. We probably better think
I'll
about taking that
report
out.
at the next meeting. I don't know. It's a two-way thing because I don't know what kind of billings we've had for their show-up times or whether we've had any.
Right.
I
For
mean,
the bridge stuff?
well,
their
you know,
inspectors,
their
yeah.
bridge and all the times that they had to be there
Right.
for the crossing, which maybe that has,
Maybe
that
it's
was
still going.
That was the biggest concern, piling on with that kind of billings. But I don't know where that is. I haven't talked to Clay about it.
It would probably be good just to get a general update on the whole project.
Well, I think that needs to be on the agenda for the next meeting for sure. Everything when I've inquired, everything
All's good.
going on schedule and going well, but I can find out and then we'll either get on the horse or not on the other.
Yeah, 'cause I don't want to, like you said, step into a fight over that right-of-way, the extra right-of-way, if they're still determining when they're going to send an inspector out at $1,100 a day.
That's a consideration, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else, Elijah?
Nope,
You gotta tell us a joke.
I don't have a joke.
How about a story? Just,
I got a story.
Humorous story.
No, it's not that humorous. It's kind of a sad story.
I don't want
About
to
a
be
week and a half ago, my kids went to ride their little four-wheeler and it was gone. Because we have thieves in our town that break into people's businesses at night and steal things instead of having jobs. So anyway, that's the only story I got.
Sad
It's a
story.
sad one.
Breaking and entering and stealing, huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Any leads? Have you talked to the law enforcement? They need to.
Oh, I've talked with them.
That's the kind of
No leads or anything?
No.
thing that needs to be.
They scolded me about wanting more video cameras, but
That didn't help me any.
so.
I entertain
We
a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn.
What time is it?
9:44. Do I have a second? Any more discussion? All in favor?
Hi.
I don't think there's places.
No, this is a therapy up here, and the therapist said that